I believe that I have been into the abyss. For me, war was stepping into the abyss, and I don't think I can ever step out of that. I can integrate some of that and understand it intellectually and cognitively, perhaps. But I do think there is an abyss that all of us have access to, and hopefully we don't have to go there. But if in this case I was in the abyss and a part of me is still there trying to crawl my way out. And the abyss does not want to relinquish me from that. I started about 14 months ago, and it was a surprise to me in a lot of ways. I would walk on the beach with my dog Ollie every day, rain or shine, just to be alone and to reflect. And then I would see a piece of driftwood or a particular shell or a conch shell or a mussel shell, and it was unusually beautiful to me, color-wise or shape-wise. And then I'd be walking, and I'd get the idea, well, remember things that occurred to me in Vietnam that I had pretty much forgotten about, as I alluded to in what I had written about this. A lot of my memories were just frozen. And they were there, they were deposited somewhere in my body or my brain or somewhere, but they weren't processed. They weren't really acknowledged or talked about. And 14 months ago, but with, when I started seriously walking, I somehow or other that connection was made with memories I had in Vietnam that were lost, and finding materials, which I call ingredients, to see them, to make those memories tangible, visible, smellable, touchable. And that's sort of the origin of it. And I did one, and it sort of felt right. And I do not consider myself to be an artist. I couldn't draw a stick person. Well, a 3-year-old could do a better job. But I enjoyed the going to the beach with Ollie and finding things, and then it became, I don't know, maybe an obsession, or it became important to me to find things, and then I would bring them home in these bags, and I would sort them. I'd put periwinkles or conch shells or whatever material I was collecting, driftwood, I would put them in one particular bin, and then now my yard is filled with bins of materials that I've gathered from the beach. And then I would go to, I have a little shed, and then I would think about like a memory. And from there, I don't know what happens, but something happens. So I sort of get out of my own way. So I have the memory, and I have all these things, and I have super glue. And from there, it just making those memories a reality, a visible reality, just happens. And Again, how that happens, I don't know. It just, there's not a whole lot of conscious thought. There is some, but at some point, um, when they turn out, they just turn out, and it's not. I don't think because of me. It's just that they just happen. It's an odd way of healing for me. It's really a process, and if anything, thinking retrospectively about this is part of my healing process, and maybe it's just a form of art therapy, and nothing more than that. You know, it's like, or hopefully effective art therapy for me, because I can link those memories and have those memories which I hadn't had access to, and they become available, and I can take them from my brain and transfer them, and I guess abstractly, to driftwood and shells. In a piece like over here, one step behind, on that day I happened to find that conch shell and that driftwood, and I was thinking of Streeter in that memory, and that on that specific occasion, that was just like, three things: the memory of the shell and the piece of driftwood, and that to me created that memory that maybe no one else could understand. So I would remember the experience itself, and how much pain he was in. He was in just utter agony in terms of moaning and just being devastated. And I remember the helicopter trip with him to take him to a third field hospital in Saigon, and sitting with him, and so I remember all those things, and I think, I'm not sure, I can't attest to that, I think it's good for me to do that. I can't say, yeah, that was, a healing experience. It's more like integrating that experience into my life, rather than saying, yeah, it's over. Oh, okay, that's cool. Just move on now. So it's not as simple as that for me. All these pieces help me to be aware of some of the things that happened in my life in Vietnam, and to validate those for me. And I think in that sense, overall, they are a helpful part of my recovery, I guess you'd say. I'm not even sure what the right word is, but part of being involved in a war, there's consequences for me, not for everybody. Some of my veterans friends, have little or no, apparently little or no serious consequences to their experience in Vietnam, but everyone's different, and this is my opinions and my experiences. But my experience in Vietnam was that there were otherworldly phenomena which I could not explain or understand rationally. And there were many of those experiences, and as I mentioned in this one, those are just a couple, but I saw, we were in a Jeep, and we were getting out of an area that was very dangerous. We were going like 60 miles an hour, and there was a Vietnamese girl in the middle of the road the distance of 3 or 4 feet. And we were about to run her over, and time stopped. This is where it gets irrational, and I'll understand if you don't grasp it, because I don't grasp it fully, but something intervened. Time stopped because we were about to kill her. She was in the middle of the road, in the middle of the Jeep. We were about to run her over, and a second or two went by, and I turned around, and she was standing in the middle of the street, perfectly fine. And that to me was just one of a number of experiences, which I'm not sure they're unique to trauma situations or war situations. I don't know the answer, but it made me perhaps aware that there are some dimensions in life or parts of life that I don't understand, but just because I don't understand them doesn't mean they don't exist. And the dragon to me is beautiful. I mean, I don't see the dragon as a unattractive or unfriendly or unhelpful dragon. I see the dragon as a phenomenon that I don't understand. And several times in my brief encounters with the dragon, that I have expanded my openness a little bit to other possibilities. All this is brand new to me. So I started collecting these things, putting them together on driftwood, and that was sort of the end of it. I'd hang them on the wall because I like to look at them and think about them. And then one day Dan Waters came over in his reserved, sort of quiet way, said, maybe I want to talk to someone at the museum about that. And that's how this all happened, because I had no plan or thought about showing this stuff to anybody. Certainly it wasn't a financial endeavor. It was never monetized. It was more just, art therapy. And as I got into it, I would keep telling Joyce, this is, anyone can do this. And she said, no, this is art. So, I'm coming to terms with that. I don't rule it out. I'm still working on pieces regularly, and they make me feel better. So
they find you.
Yeah, like I just left here. I came here today, and I was working on a piece about. I found this old conch trap, which is probably it washed ashore, and it was probably from the 30s or 40s. It was just dilapidated, and I've been getting it ready, and it is now ready for my plan. And the plan is, it comes to the observations in Vietnam, is that all the ordnance that was used in terms of bombs and artillery to kill people. So I have this conch trap, and now I'm putting all the ordnance inside. That's the step. I have first step, and there are more steps. But the ordnance are fishing lures that I picked up along the beach, and I probably have hundreds of them. So I'm just starting that process now, and it's I don't know. It makes me feel good I put a piece in, and I think about what Vietnam looked like from the air. It was just everywhere. Bomb craters, literally everywhere. And we used a lot of different type of ordnance to make that happen. And that's what it means to me. And again, it probably would mean something altogether different from someone who didn't know me or what I was trying to do. But still, it's meaningful for me to do that. I go, let's say, 1.5 miles down the beach, and I'm tired, and my body aches, and is tired from bending over and picking up stuff. And there's another bend that there's a good spot that a lot of things typically wash up on, and I've learned to go that extra 1/4 mile to do that, and it always pays off. I always find something that is beautiful. Well, the music end of it was probably that started like 50 years ago. You know, again, all this stuff is new, and I didn't even know I could do that. But musically, it was my way of expressing myself a lot when I first got back from Vietnam. I can remember riding back. I was riding in the back of what was called a deuce and a half, which is a large army truck, coming back from 3rd Field Hospital in Saigon with a friend of mine standing up in the back. This was after bringing a bunch of casualties to the hospital. And this is towards the end of my tour, and I was saying to my friend, you know, I want to be a folk singer. I was trying, because nothing made any sense to me in life at that point in time. All the things that I had, all my dreams and career plans and all that, I just sort of lost it. And I said to him that I want to be a folk singer. And I never really actualized that, but I approached it by writing songs and learning how to play guitar, and that still is a really excellent way for me to get in touch with feelings and to let them out and to share them. That's has been an ongoing part, and maybe that was the first step in the more tangible art aspect of it. Is just a recent development in my treatment plan, if you will. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 other veterans who have come by here and expressed their appreciation and understanding. More, I guess that maybe is the best word to say, is that there weren't necessarily a lot of words exchanged, but there were some deep, intense, beautiful feelings like, I understand, I've been there, we've been through this together. Joyce was, well, Jen was born 4 months before I got home. And Joyce convinced her doctor in the Philadelphia hospital that he should consider letting her tape Jen's birth. And at the time, that was sort of taboo. And with birth, it was, there was a medical procedure, and you don't deviate that from that in any way. But anyway, this doctor allowed Joyce's mother to tape the birth. And Joyce sent me a copy of the tape of the birth. And when I got it in the mail that night, a few friends and I sat on a bunker, which is like 3 feet of sandbags with a dome top all around it. And we sat on that bunker listening to the tape of Jen being born. And it was a beautiful experience. And the dramatic part of that is that we were also simultaneously watching a firefight not too far from our perimeter, where the sky was lit up with luminescent flares, and there were Cobra gunships firing miniguns, which looked like dragons with bursts of 3,000 rounds a minute. They were orange. They would come out of the helicopter. And artillery and grenades and small arms fire. So we're listening, sitting on the bunker, listening to Jen being born. This beautiful experience. And just turn our head a little bit and watching the war go on. And that to me was, I don't know how to explain that, but it was pretty dramatic. The only piece I think that brings me joy is the lamp. All the other ones, they're death related at some level or hatred related. The lamp of hope is the only thing in here to me that is love related. And I truly believe that's the only way we're ever going to find a way for someone like me in 50 years doesn't have to do this again or doesn't do this again. I had enormous respect for the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong, the people who were trying to kill me. They were dedicated. They were skillful. And they were relentless. And they have my respect, as do the people, Americans that I served with, who were dedicated and skillful. So it almost transcends the political realm of the reasons for the war. So that to me represents, where the rubber meets the road, as we're two committed, well-trained warriors are trying to kill each other. And the reasons for that become obscured or almost meaningless at that point in time. So I look at that as we are at some level all brothers in arms. And I'm sure that will upset certain American veterans, but that's how I feel. And again, it's my opinion. And for a long time, I haven't felt that I was entitled to my opinion, because I'm so strongly, I feel so strongly that this Vietnam War was a horrendous tragedy, unnecessary in nature. Last Monday, I came in here by myself when you were closed, and I had the chance to just sit quietly with everybody. And I felt at that point that I was honoring them and part of it, and acknowledging them, not just the Hmong, but everybody, Smitty and Streeter. I'm just having the chance to just sit and be quiet with them. That was very healing for me. That was very helpful to me. It's always hard for me to communicate about what I do, but that part of it, I didn't have to talk, and I didn't have to sound like I could just sort of breathe and communicate and be in touch, and that was very special.